We are currently one day away from the next Doors update. Not a week, not a month, just a single day. Now, I'm not making this video to talk about what's coming in this update. I've already done that in previous videos. No, today I want to discuss the potential this update has at saving Doors. As you probably know, or have heard me say dozens of times here on this channel before, Doors isn't as popular as it once was. This was largely due to a lack of updates, as previously Doors only updated around once every 4 months. That was, until the developers decided to reveal that from now on, they'll plan to release smaller, gameplay-focused updates around once a month. I've recently come across a very exciting piece of information that just may prove that the next update, and maybe even the more frequent ones after it, will bring the game back into the public eye. Doors was a dying game, but it is going to be saved, right? Well, we are about to find out. So, with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so I want to first go over the issue and what the developers are planning to do in order to remedy it. When Doors first released, the game averaged around 40,000 active players at any given time. It is unrealistic to expect the game to ever reach this amount in any capacity anytime now, especially with no update for players to experience. However, the value does give us a rough estimate of what Doors was capable of in its prime. After the Hotel Plus update and its resulting player count spike, the game averaged around 20,000 active players, with it declining to around 15,000 players nowadays. Now, that might not seem like a big issue, the game's player count is relatively stable now. However, over the course of time, it's pretty obvious that it will slowly but surely continue to decline. So although it may not be a big issue now, it will eventually become one. Fortunately, the developers are starting to implement their solution to this problem, and it is more frequent updates. With a game as large as Doors, maximizing replayability is somewhat of a lost cause, as the core gameplay loop physically prevents replayability. Doors is a trial and error game. Once you've trialed and errored enough, there's nothing left to do. The only way to bring players back to the game is by adding more stuff to do, which means implementing more updates, and that's exactly what the developers are doing. They have announced their new batch system, where every month or so they'll release a gameplay update which isn't as large as a major one, introducing new entities and rooms in between the giant updates which are still planned to release alongside these minor batches. Supposedly, the first batch is going to be the Kringles Workshop Christmas event, which as I said is releasing the day after this video is pushed out. Now, one of my fears going into this new batch system is that it wouldn't work. It's always possible the player count could stay low and continue to decline even with these minor updates. However, a recent revelation has given me hope that the opposite is true, and that the next update, as well as the batch system as a whole, will revive the game to its former glory. So, what was the reveal? Well, it all has to do with the events page. Roblox has this really cool feature where games can advertise an update with this events page. There, players can notify if they are interested in the event. Now, here's the thing. Just because a player marks themselves as interested in an event, it doesn't mean the player count would drastically increase for said event, because the player could just not join for the update. For example, the update that introduced the advent calendar had around 70,000 players saying they were interested on the events page. However, the player count only barely increased, reaching a peak of around 20,000 players, not far from its 15,000 player average. This means that no matter how high the interested players number goes on the advanced page, take it with a grain of salt of how many players will actually join the game when the update releases. With all of that being said though, I'm going to ignore it for the big reveal. As of recording this video, the next update coming to Doors, the Kringles Workshop event, has 500,000 players interested in the update. Now, I just said to be wary of this number, but 500,000 people is still a massive amount, and there is proof that this value may be not as misleading as I've made it out to be. The Doors event with the single largest number of people interested in it was the Outdoors Update event, which had 700,000 players interested. This update made the player count spike to around 200,000 at its absolute peak. This is a very good sign for Doors, as it means the player count could once drastically increase again with the Kringles Workshop update. Now, like I've been saying, take this with a grain of salt, as the interested players number can be quite misleading. However, for so many people to be interested in an actual gameplay update and not just cosmetic skins is a very good sign that the game could receive a massive revival in the future. What's more, the Kringles Workshop event is just a batch. The Outdoors update was a major release, one of the updates that occur few and far between. Batches are scheduled to come out once a month, so if this one batch is receiving this kind of attention, it could mean the others could too. This is what I mean by doors being saved. If these batches just continuously bring spiked player counts, then eventually the average player count will be higher than what it is currently. This may just seem like relatively common knowledge, like who knew more updates would bring in more players. But now with the Kringles Workshop event number, we know, or at least believe, that it's likely to be the case with this new batch system, which is a major step forward for the game. Now, here's what's even better. The Kringles Workshop event was never actually advertised anywhere else other than the Roblox events page and the in-game notification on top of that blue glitchy present, which I've already made a video on dissecting what that all means, but that's unrelated. Anyways, technically speaking, it probably has the bare minimum advertising possible, yet it seemingly is pulling in quite large amounts of players. The developers have said that future batches will have more advertising, such as trailers for them on YouTube, as well as on Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call that platform, and that naturally will lead to even more players joining for the update release, as they are actually aware of the update that is coming. All I'm trying to say is that if the numbers on the Kringles Workshop event have any meaning at all for the game's actual player count, as I said, it can be misleading, but it's possible that it is a good indicator for how many people will join the event, then Doors will have a pretty bright future, even brighter than it is now. All in all, there's no denying that Doors was dying. People always say it wasn't and debate me on it, and it's a topic that is heavily discussed, but the truth is, its life was slowly being sucked away, and something needed to be done before the issue got way too out of hand. The new batch system is the perfect way to solve this issue, at least I think it is, and the Kringles Workshop event just may be the proof of that. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this whole thing. Do you believe that the batch system will remedy Doors' declining player count, or will it not work out in the long run? Whilst you're down there, also let me know what you think will be added in the actual Kringles Workshop update. I'm very excited to see all the new additions, and fortunately, we don't actually have to wait very long for the update to come out. As I've said, I've already made a video going over some of the features, such as the introduction of more glitch-themed lore in the update, so check out that video if you already haven't. So, with all of that being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.